Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to one of the greatest podcasts. That's right, I said it. Greatest podcast in America. What's playing in your ears right now is some of the greatest stuff you will ever hear. Two of the greatest voices you will ever hear. I'm talking about all across all platforms. Coming soon to a YouTube near you, on Spotify, on Apple, and some other stuff. That's right. This is the Viewers Anonymous podcast. I am Scoots Bronson.
I am S. Foster.
That's right. And you tuned into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast, where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, Brody?
Man, I can't call it, man. I'm so glad to be back in the lab.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's been a long week, man. I was under the weather, you know what I'm saying, waking up and goddamn not cold sweats, but goddamn dude, I'm talking about there was 2 nights where like I woke up in the middle of the night just drenched. My God, like
Yeah.
only thing that would make me feel good was just cold air, dude. Like it was just, I
Yeah.
was just, yeah, it was bad. It got bad. So, but I toughed it out. I worked through it. But it was just an odd week, man. Not being in the lab putting together a pod though, man. But I'm back, feeling good. Glad to be back in. Glad to be back on with you. But I'm good though, man. How you feeling? Everything good with you?
Oh man, everything is great, man. I have no complaints. You know what I'm saying? Just I've been working like crazy. Uh what was crazy was we had talked about taking this week off. We never announced it though, because um I think we both kind of forgot. But uh so we took that week off, and man, I was working. I'm talking about work. My poor car. I don't know how many miles I put on that car that last week, man. But that's when you had hit me up. I was like, man, I'm out here sick, man. And I was like, damn, my dog down, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe they done got my dog, man. But nah, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything been cool. I'm kind of you know what I'm saying, sick myself, man. I had a chance to make it to my fantasy football playoffs, and I didn't get it. Had to play my little cousin. He won 2 years in a row. You know what I'm saying? This is our third year, so he's been the only champion. And I had a chance to keep his ass out the playoffs, and I couldn't pull it off, man. And what was crazy was the year before, his brother was the one that had the chance to do it and couldn't do it. And I had played him the week before, and then this year, um, his brother played him, and then I ended up playing him in the last game. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, they get his ass out of here, because I don't want to hear him talk about 3 rings. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Um, so you know what I'm saying. I'm fighting not to be you know what I'm saying, the last place this year. But man, let me tell you something, bro. I do gotta commend you though. I gotta give you credit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Because delivering boxes and packages and all that shit is not for the weak. You know what I'm saying? I told you guys, you know what I'm saying, I jumped on with Amazon. I finally did my first couple deliveries, and god damn, it was a hassle. That second one was definitely a hassle. So I gotta salute you for that, man. For doing that shit for as many years as you done did it is impressive. You know what I'm saying? That's really a loss for words word, but it's very impressive. I got to give you credit, because fuck that. Fuck.
appreciate it, man. Listen, man, I am last month made it 15 years, officially 15 years, man.
That's what's
I've
up, man.
been
That's what's up.
goddamn. I've been at. I mean, I was delivering packages before then. You know what I'm saying, just working for other companies or whatever. But Been doing it a long time, man. It just now became a part of life for me, man. So it's just like, but you all right though. Like, so, dude, I could tell. I could look at people like when they come through the door and be like,
Mhm.
yeah, he ain't gonna
Mhm.
make it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So all right. So we back. You know what I'm saying? We back again. We finishing the year out. Uh, man, we have a doc this episode, man, and it is about none other than the one and only Sylvester Stallone. This doc came out this year, 2023. You can currently watch it on Netflix. I believe that's the only place you can watch it. I believe this is a Netflix production. But it's basically a view of Sylvester Stallone's career from beginning to end. Well, it technically hasn't ended, so from beginning to current. But it's interesting though because it's through the lens of Rocky, and I think that I watched this twice. All right, so I want to go ahead and just hit this off because I watched this
Yeah, go
twice.
ahead.
So the first time I watched it, you know, just my first overall thought was they should have just made this the goddamn Rocky documentary because I'm like that's all they fucking talked about. And then I was like, well, let me rewatch it because we had the time too. So I said, let me rewatch it and make sure I'm not missing nothing, just in case I see some things or whatever. It's always good to give it, what I'm saying, a second view. And I was totally wrong. This is it wasn't necessarily excuse me, based too much on Rocky. I think the overall theme of it was because of um his acting, the writing, the production, and everything of Rocky. I think we view him at his best in that moment. And I think they were kind of comparing everything he's done since that because they they showed everything in the beginning and showing him working with Henry Winkler, and they talked about how he was doing like extra work and stuff like that. So eventually he kind of got his he finally kind of got his chance with Rocky, and they talked a lot about how he basically made Rocky everything that it was. And
What
you know,
what he did now? Oh, I
yeah.
don't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
go ahead, go ahead.
my interpretation of it, he didn't even get a chance with Rocky.
Right.
What like my interpretation of it was he was only getting cast as an extra or a thug.
Yeah.
So he was like, yo, like I have other sides of me that I want to, portray in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was just like, yo, nobody's gonna give me a chance. So I'm gonna create my own chance and I'm gonna start
Mm-hmm.
writing. And so he was talking about how he came up with the ideas of like the whole Rocky thing. And then it was like, yo, I want to turn it into a love story. So he wrote it. So he
Mm-hmm.
wrote Rocky, but the crazy part about it was the film industry tried to pay him to go the fuck away. They tried to give him $250,000 to be like, look, just you give us your script, but we want somebody else to do it.
Yo,
So
yeah,
they didn't even
that
want
was
him.
crazy. They were saying because I think they had mentioned
Oh, who did they mention? It was it
uh
wasn't Robert De Niro.
um
Um, I forget who it was.
shoot, why am I about to say Highlander? Who was in Highlander?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I don't think it was him though.
The dude that played James Bond,
Which
the
James Bond?
the Irish one or Scottish one.
Um, not Pierce, but
No, I mean not Pierce Brosnan.
um,
The old James
oh
Bond.
yeah, I know who you're
He was
talking
he
about.
was in
Like,
the movie with Captain Zeta-Jones when they were stealing shit.
uh, I was about to say Kevin Costner. No, Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. It wasn't him though, but I don't know why I was thinking of Sean Connery. It wasn't Sean Connery. It was somebody else then. But
Yeah,
the
but
names that
yeah,
they was naming was like the big action people at the time. And
Yeah.
so I had kind of I kind of understood why they felt that way, because it was like we have this story and it makes sense to put this out, especially around the time that they put it out. But wh- what I thought was interesting was, for him at least, like he said, he didn't write this for anybody else but himself. So eventually he gets the okay, they do the movie, right? But as they're starting the production of the movie and everything, and they're trying to find the people who are going to be in these movies, what was interesting was how the people that initially were supposed to be in it, they all just start dropping out. Like they said, like Ken Norton was supposed to be Apollo Creed, he dropped out. And then I forgot who the other role was. He was out. Um, they didn't even want him to be in it. They didn't even want Sylvester Stallone to be in it, but he ended up in it. Then Carl Weathers ended up being in it, and then I forgot the lady named Talia. Oh, what's her name? Talia Shire. She was in it. But he said that when she walked in, he instantly knew, like, this is the one. This
Yep.
is exactly who Adrian is supposed to be. So I thought that was interesting, the fact that he was able to, what I'm saying, like kind of get the people in there. And then the fact that he was talking to one of his friends as he was writing it, and as he's writing it, he's putting it together, and he lets her read it as she's, because she's typing it up for him. And as she's typing it and reading it, she's like, yo, I hate Rocky. He's too brutal, you know what I'm saying? He's too angry. It's like, I, how is he a hero? So then, he's sitting there talking to her, and she's like, he needs he like, well, shit, what if he had a girl? And she like, well, that'd kind of be cool. And he like, all right then. So what if he wasn't a boxer? What if he was trying to be a boxer? She was like, well, that'd be cool too. And that made everything. That
Yes.
made the whole story, because for those who have watched Rocky and followed the series, that really Rocky is a love story. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But you also know that Rocky is really just a movie about triumph. It ain't even really a boxing movie. It's none of this shit. It's just about this dude who's really trying to find himself and overcome all of these hurdles to find out who he really is. Because in the first Rocky, he's battling with, what I'm saying, the whole fighting thing. And then in the second Rocky, he's battling with going back to fighting. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I thought that was interesting, the way that he broke it down and the way he talked about it. I was like, man, that's what I'm saying, pretty cool to know. Like he was really, behind the scenes, like doing everything, what I'm saying, with this movie. And then eventually the success is really all credited to him, because he's the reason all of this shit worked. So I that was man, I had no idea. I had no idea just how amazing he was, what I'm saying, with writing skills and storytelling and stuff like that. Because when you see him, you don't see, what I'm saying, that side of Sylvester Stallone. You always see him in action movies or something like that. You never really see him. Well, later on you do, of course, but like in that time at his height, we never seen him in that light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that to hear about like the things that he was in beforehand, that with Henry Winkler and all that type stuff, where he was just really freelancing stuff. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Because he was just like his personality, like people couldn't like write his personality, so he just kind of winged a lot of things. And
Hmm.
so that's what he ended up doing with the Rocky shit. And for Rocky to still be going and for it to be perceived the way that it is, the way that he put it together, for him to write, direct it, and star in it. And then like the one guy that was on here that was saying, he was like, yo, the most fascinating thing about Sylvester Stallone is the fact of like, first of all, he wasn't the first to do this, but he was
Right.
like he was the first person to become a star to do
Yeah, that
this.
was Tarantino. Tarantino was talking about how he was literally like at his height. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the man, and he literally was doing all of this. You know what I'm saying? Putting this together and literally directing, acting. writing. You know what I'm saying? Like what I thought was to his improv skills.
Yes.
I don't think he really gets enough credit for that because when they broke that scene down when he was talking to talking to Mickey, I think that's the trainer's name. He's talking to
Yeah.
Mickey in that one scene, and they going back. Well, they really didn't even go back and forth. Mickey was like, "Yo, let me be your trainer." He was like, "Yo, I've been asking you to be my trainer forever, and now that you down bad, you want me to, what I'm saying, give you some help. I can't do it." And then as Mickey walking down the stairs, he arguing, like he yelling, getting out his frustrations, and then you see Mickey leave out and he comes to get him, and they're breaking that down. Like they're talking about, well, he's actually breaking it down. He's talking about how he put all that together and what, what I'm saying, everything meant. Um, I thought that was super interesting because that whole scene was about his dad. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I got
Like
a lot to say about his dad.
yeah, we got to get into that. We got to. Um, because I really want to hear your opinion on this because I got a very, very a very different. Well, I don't know, but I just from what I've seen about his dad is crazy. I got an opinion on that though, but from him using that, what I'm saying, those memories of his dad and that anger with his dad, he, that's what he used to get that out. Because I think he said like the first time they shot it, it was all improv, but it wasn't, the camera wasn't rolling, so they had to recreate the scene. And so for that scene to come out the way it did, it kind of make you wonder what that first scene, like that first shot could have been. But then again, it's like, damn, for them to come up with that type of magic, just, what I'm saying, off the out the blue is, damn, he's great at improv, bro. But let's get into his dad though. What
Yeah.
how you
His
feeling
dad.
about his pops, bro?
Yeah, his pops is wilding, my guy. So for the
Yeah.
people who don't know, like Frank Stallone was, he was, a barber turned hairdresser because he thought that he could make more money and, being a hairdresser and all this type stuff.
Hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? But what his mom did, she really brought in like the money or whatever, whatnot. But they fought a lot, all this type stuff, and then they ended up um, being so busy that Frank and Sylvester had to stay in boys' homes most of the time because their
Hmm.
parents was just never there. And it was like when they was there, it was very toxic. So then they ended up getting a divorce, in which, dude, I've never even heard of this happening. Maybe it happened more back in those times,
Hmm.
but so the dad goes to Maryland and the mom goes to Philadelphia, but Frank go with the mom, and Sylvester go with the dad. It's like, what the fuck? Y'all split the siblings up? Like,
Yeah.
I ain't never heard no shit like that before. And
Right.
so he's down there with his dad, and he was like, yo, like his dad, got into horses, but he was like, but the horses were very sick. They wasn't good horses and shit, so he get into polo. And then he starts talking about how he got really good at polo. But dude,
Hmm.
when he told that story about when he was out there playing really well, he was like his dad yelling at him from the stands. And this he says his dad comes in the middle of the fucking game, grabs him by his throat and throws him off the fucking horse and walks the horse off. In the middle of a fucking game.
Yeah.
And so then he got to talking about like how abusive mentally and physically his dad was to him and things like that. He ended up getting kicked out of a lot of schools and what I'm saying, all types of shit like that. But anyway, but to get to like his dad, it was just like for his dad just to be flat out jealous of this dude. And Sylvester being, I guess, quote unquote, the good son, always trying to give his dad a shot, even though, what I'm saying, he keeps disappointing him, just like that silent film that he put him in. He was like,
Hmm.
yo, you enjoyed this whole scene of killing me too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then he gives his dad another shot at the polo shit. And his dad shits on him again.
Hmm.
And it's just like, and then just verbally some of the things that he would say to him. It was just to have a person that is your seed. Like I've always looked at it like I always want my kids to be in a better place than I was, especially like
Mhm.
at my age. Like I'll be 39 next month. Like when they're 39 or whatever, I want them to be 10 times better than I was, and I'm gonna teach
Mhm.
them all the mistakes that I've made. So I'm saying, so you don't make these same mistakes.
Mhm.
But if my kids be in the place where I want them to be, I'm not gonna be fucking jealous of them.
Right.
I'm gonna be proud of the job that I did. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's like I just feel like for his dad to be the way that he was and to hold this resentment for someone who figured it out. You know what I'm saying? Who was able to get into an industry where literally nobody fucking really wanted him. Like he
Right.
wasn't wanted. Everybody said you don't have the look, you don't have the voice, none of that shit. And for him to, I wanted to say this earlier, but he literally wrote his own path. We don't
Yeah.
see that. We
Yeah.
don't see somebody go into acting and everybody's like, you don't have the face, you don't have the voice, we just ain't gonna cast you. And then you come up with your own idea. And even though you come up with your own idea, they still don't want you to do it. They want to pay you
Mhm.
$250,000. Just give us the script and you go away. It's like for Sylvester to be here, you know what I'm saying? Like if I was his dad, I couldn't be nothing but proud of him.
Right.
But he was jealous of him, dude. It's so odd, man. But what I mean, I'm interested to hear what you was
Okay.
thinking
So
and I was gonna say about the dad, cause
I didn't see it as jealousy.
okay,
Um, I seen it as resentment. You know what I'm saying? Remember he was born in what 1946. This right after the war. You know what I'm saying? This is when misogyny is at an all time high, patriarchy is at an all time high, and his dad is trying to provide for a family, and he's not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Then he's in an uncommon profession for a man at the time. Because remember, he was saying that my dad he did quote unquote cosmetology. Basically, his dad
hmm
was a fucking hairdresser. And at the time in 1945, 1946, in the 50s, it wasn't cool for no man to be no fucking hairdresser. Like, let's be real. And so I think his dad was kind of battling this self-image and this internal struggle that he probably had. And after, because even when Frank would talk about the relationship between his mom and dad, how his dad and the mom would just be constantly arguing, arguing, arguing. And like he would say, like, yo, I would come home and put my book bag down and it'd be like a fucking argument I'm walking into. And even then, like, they would be talking about like, sometimes not even coming home, going to do other shit and then coming home. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, eventually they just wasn't even at home. They was going to live in boys' homes. And so I think what ended up happening is after because I'm trying to remember if World War II or World War One was I want to say World War One was the Great Depression because that's the 20s and shit. So that's the Great Depression.
hmm
World War Two, this is you know people are actually signing up for the draft. Like niggas is, what I'm saying? Like this is the quote unquote manly man time. Like when niggas is like, what? Going to kill Nazis? Let's go do it. You know what I'm saying? Like that type shit.
yeah,
And for his dad to still be back home trying to take care of a family in New York, being in a profession that he probably didn't even want to be in to begin with, trying to make money that he probably wasn't making, and then, what I'm saying, to have a wife who was like this model and this, what I'm saying, like this beautiful woman who even at the time of getting pregnant was like, yo, I don't want to have this baby. You know what I'm saying? So to see that and hear that, because even when he was talking about how like he went where he when he was or during his birth, remember he was birthed at like a charity home or some shit that he called it. He wasn't even birthed at a hospital.
hmm
So all his life he's had to deal with adversity. You know what I'm saying? Even when he was born, something was wrong with him. So like his face was, you know what I'm saying? I think it was like slightly paralyzed or whatever, which
Yeah.
caused him to talk the way that he talked. So he from birth, he's constantly had to fight, to fight, to fight, to fight. And he's always overcome it. And then you got his dad who has to deal with the same fucking thing, but he's not being, you know what I'm saying, he's not successful. And in that time, you know, it'll wear down on you. You know what I'm saying? As a man, you know, to know this is the way you're supposed to be, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And then to see, you know what I'm saying, this smaller version of you actually getting the success that you may feel like you're supposed to get, actually doing the things you feel like you're supposed to do. So I feel like when they split up and then they moved or whatever, and he had Sylvester or whatever, and the the horse thing and the, you know what I'm saying, like grabbing him off the horse and all that shit. I think that wasn't. I don't think that was really like jealousy. I think it was just like one of those moments where he realized this motherfucker is gonna be greater than me, and I don't think that he wanted that. Even when they got older, and you know what I'm saying, they had Entertainment and all them out there on the polo ground, and he bought the farm, and he had the polo game, and he was, you know, he was busting ass in the polo game, and his dad hit him with the cheap shot. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that his dad never got over the fact that his son was becoming what he wanted to become. And I just mean that in just success, not necessarily being an
Mhm.
actor or whatever. But his son had become what he wanted to become as far as just being successful overall. And I don't think that he ever really got over that. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't ever think that he could just fathom the fact that here I am struggling, here I am fucked up, I'm busting my ass, nothing is going right for me, and he's getting everything. You know what I'm saying? Like I really wish they would have did like a deeper dive into his parents though, because I think that was crazy to hear about the shit that his dad was doing, and the fact that, you know what I'm saying, Frank growing up with the mom. What I did find interesting too though was like how Frank was talking about his mom. You know what I'm saying? How Frank would talk about their mom. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Like when Sylvester talked about their mom, he talked about how she was this model for, you know, she was a cigarette girl, and you know she was in the magazines with the cigarette and all that shit. When Frank talked about her, he was like, yeah, she you know, she could do hair and all that shit, but she, you know, she wasn't no better than my dad. So I think that that was a very very telling thing um about his upbringing, was the fact that I think Sylvester kind of seen it as no matter what happens, these are my parents,
Mhm.
and I gotta love them regardless. But I think Frank kind of seen the reality of everything. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Frank is the oldest, right?
No, Frank is younger, which is weird because he's a junior.
And so okay, so see, this is another thing too now. So now, okay, now this even to me now this really starting to make sense is the fact that as the oldest, why are why aren't you Frank Jr.?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Your younger brother is Frank Jr. and everything else, and then you are, you know, you Sylvester. So I don't know. Maybe they at the time they just didn't want to have a kid, and he probably held on to that because it seemed as if like they just didn't give a fuck about kids. Like
I mean,
nigga,
obviously.
yeah, I know y'all niggas is here. I mean, eat some cereal. I got to go to work. I see y'all when I see y'all. Like that's what it seemed like. And it's fucked up because, you know, luckily it worked out for him. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
like you said, he grew up sleeping in bus stops and on fucking stoops and, you know, and train stops and shit. But you know, he's always had to fight in his life. So to I guess for him it was nothing that he felt like he couldn't overcome. I think his dad though, like I don't know, man. I just feel like his dad just always looked at him like, how fucking dare you get everything that's owed to me? I think that's kind of how his dad looked at it. Because the way that they talked about it, that's the way, for me at least, that's how I took it. Was just like his dad was like, yo, there's no fucking way you deserve all this shit and I don't.
I can see that. I mean, but I do think that can be a lot of things. I think that
Mhm.
could be resentment, that can be hate, that could be,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Jealousy. Yeah.
Jealousy. It could be all envy. It could be a lot of
Yeah.
those things because he's like, yo, like I went to the war. I had to deal with shit that you didn't have to deal with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's probably looking at it like, well, your life was remotely easy compared to mine. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
To the things that I had to do. And I just think that as a parent, like that's how it is sometimes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes you have kids, whether it wasn't planned. So maybe you had a dream that you was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to lay my shit down. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So my kids could be able to fulfill the things that they want to fulfill and not deal with the things that I had to do. And I
Absolutely.
think that that's one of those things where it's just kind of like that's just something that you got to let go. And I think that, what I'm saying, that Frank Sr. didn't let it go. And I
Not
think
at
he was
all.
just looking at Sylvester like, yo, like
Even
this
in
is
death,
some
though.
bullshit. He
Like
what?
even when he went to go, like even in death, like when he went to go see his dad on the hospital bed, I'm like, even then,
Well,
his dad was,
Frank Jr. had to convince him though. He had to convince him.
yeah,
The-
yeah,
He had to be like, hey, look, he's on his deathbed, man.
yeah,
You're gonna regret if you don't come see him.
yeah.
You know what I'm
But I
saying?
think that polo incident is what kind of was the last straw for him.
Yeah, and I don't
And
blame him.
what made it so sad is the fact that, you know, like he was talking about, man, my dad had these horses and I started having a love for horses. I was growing a love for horses, and then, polo, and I was good at this shit. And then, I really could have been something in polo. And then, to then turn around, and as you get older, you like, yo, I put you, like you said, I put you in a movie. I come build this whole polo ground, to play with you. You know what I'm saying? To do something with you, with my dad. And I mean, no pun intended, you stabbed me in the fucking back.
Dude, literally, dude, he got a
Yeah,
lifetime injury. This
yeah,
motherfucker had to go get surgeries and shit. Like he's
exactly.
still dealing with this shit today. To the
Yeah.
fact that where he was on set, man, was it the second expendable or the first one? It could have been the third one. Where like they showing him in the hospital with his wife and kids, where they was like, "Yo, you got to take it easy. Like you got to stop filming for a couple of days because of this injury that you got from what your dad did to you on the polo shit."
That's crazy.
So his dad could have fucking potentially. I mean, he did alter his career to a point
Yeah.
because he was saying that he used to do everything, but
Hmm.
he had to use some stunts for some stunt devils for one of the expendables or whatever because of his
Hmm.
injuries. So his dad really did, in a sense, like really fuck him up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So
And
like
it's,
that
it's
was,
crazy because his whole career really is because of his dad.
yeah. I mean, even the Rocky shit, and that's why I say like a lot of the improv shit that we was talking about earlier, like a lot of that shit. The reason why I think the Rocky movies, and that's why I think that now I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch them
Yeah.
from like a different lens because I didn't know how personal it actually was to Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Because now it's starting to feel like Sylvester literally is Rocky.
I
That's
mean,
not
shit, yeah.
that's not a lot of cases for people who get into franchises. Like it's usually like, yeah, we look at a person and we be like, oh well, you're such and such to me. Like for instance, Tom Cruise. Like, okay, you could look at him and be like, yo, like, man, I forget what his name is in Mission Impossible, but but
Ethan,
even Top Gun, you know what I'm saying? We
hold
look
on.
at him like you're a Maverick. You know what I'm saying?
Ethan Hunt.
Ethan Hunt. You know what I'm saying? But the difference is this motherfucker, he actually intertwined his real life into Rocky.
Hey man,
And I didn't realize in Rocky 5,
mhm.
I didn't realize that was his real son. And not only was that his real son, but the fact of like that, like quote unquote argument that they had
Yeah.
about Tommy, because what people don't know, like, so Tommy like was kind of, which that was the one thing I hated about Rocky 5,
Mhm.
was how he did neglect his son
Yeah.
because of this new Tommy guy just coming in the picture, and he's giving Tommy all this attention. That was one thing that I noticed before I even knew about this Sly shit or whatever. But
Mhm.
like I was like, why is he? I don't understand like why he's doing this, and didn't realize that they was dealing with this shit in real life.
Yeah.
He put that shit in the movie.
But what's interesting is that you bring that up. What I and even when I was watching this, I was going back and thinking about the Rocky movies, and you know how I felt about the Rocky movies already. So
Yeah.
yeah, that all these movies for this nigga just to really be a loser. Um, what's interesting is that this whole like, and I know that he kept saying it's a love story, and I get it. It really is, but not necessarily. Because when I seen that, I was like, I know, it's really the him and Adrian thing, and I get it, but the real thing to me about Rocky was always the fact that he was always struggling with who he was. It was him trying to find his identity. And I think that
Hmm.
in Rocky 5, that was more prevalent than ever because I think the reason that he had, what I'm saying, went to Tommy and he was so into helping Tommy and everything was because deep down inside, the fighting thing was the only thing he knew. Remember at the first one, on the first one, he was saying how his dad was like, yo, you ain't got the brain, so you gonna have to find something to do with your body. And remember when I was on when I was on the ice rink and he was like, I'm a fighter. That's how he introduced himself. I'm a fighter,
Hmm.
which is true because all his life, this he's literally had to, whether it be physically, metaphorically, literally, spiritually, whatever, he's always had to fight. And so I feel like in Rocky 5, that was really prevalent because he always struggled with, what I'm saying, not fighting in these movies. Whether it was I think it was Rocky 2 where he ended up getting fired and he downstairs in the basement. They showed that scene, he downstairs in the basement punching in the bag and he talking to Adrian in the basement and she like, so I mean, what you gonna do? He like, shit, I was thinking about getting back in a fight. And she like, yo, nigga, you told me that you wasn't gonna fight no more. But I feel like that's who he was at his core. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Hmm.
it was interesting to see it from that perspective when he's talking about it because it's like the same thing with Rocky and the fighting thing is him with acting. You know what I'm saying? It's the same parallel. Is yo, yeah, I write and I'm directing and all this other shit, but yo, nigga, I gotta act. I need to be in front of that screen because that's what I want to do. With Rocky, it was yeah, okay, I'm training and doing all this other shit, but nah, I need to fight. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get in that ring because this is what this is really what I know how to do. I don't really know anything else. You know what I'm saying? I'm lost without this shit. And I think him taking in Tommy and doing all that shit that he did with Tommy was him finding his way back into that arena without necessarily being back into that arena. You know what I'm saying? And what's interesting is that if you go and watch the Creed movies, he actually found his time to say, nah, I'm cool. Because remember, he didn't even want to train Creed at first.
Yeah.
Or with Apollo, or I mean not Apollo, what's the nigga name in Creed?
Udonis.
Yeah. He didn't even want to train Adonis at first. But you know what I'm saying? Like I felt like at that point in time, it's weird now knowing about this shit now because now like at this time that's his passing of the torch.
Hmm.
Like I really don't want to train you and I really don't want to be in this movie, but I'm gonna do this shit because of what it is. But nigga, this your shit now. So I thought that was super interesting figuring out, you know what I'm saying, that, that's his son and them having that argument, you know what I'm saying, and recording that argument, and that's gonna forever live in history, that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, once again, it goes to his improv skills. The fact that he's able to take such nuanced things, put them on film, and they become magical, especially in this universe. You know what I'm saying? Because this wasn't even the movie that was supposed to make it. He was saying how the you know what I'm saying, motherfuckers was, when they first seen it, they was walking out 15 minutes into the movie when they did the
Hmm.
premiere. You know what I'm saying? So d- it's so crazy how somebody can really like translate their life into something totally different and it still be the exact same thing.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up because even Frank told him, like, yo, this movie is either gonna make your career or it's gonna break it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And it didn't look promising in the beginning. Like you
Right.
said, people got to walking out, people didn't really fuck with it and all that type shit, and then that shit really caught on. And I think it caught on because I think it was authentic. And I think the most perfect thing that he did, and a lot of people don't do this, was the fact that he lost to Apollo that in that first one. I think if he would have won, I think people would have been like, "Oh, see, that's that Cinderella bullshit." You know what I mean? Like,
And what's crazy is he when he talked about making Fist, right? That
mhm,
was the same thing that he complained about in Fist, about how at the end of it he got killed. He was supposed to be the hero of the movie, but he got killed at the end of the movie. And he was like, "Yo, you never do this. This is not how, you know what I'm saying, movies are supposed to go. It's supposed to be that the hero always, you know what I'm saying, overcomes all the obstacles." And to me, I feel like that was I think that was the reason that Rocky was so great, right? Because you see this guy build up to this point, right? And
mhm.
you see him do everything that he's supposed to do. You see him, making the right choices and getting everything together. And finally, when it comes to this big moment, he fails. But in that failure, you don't see him really fail. You really see him being this moral champion because he never gave up on who he was supposed to be. And he kept fighting and kept fighting and kept doing everything he needed to do to get to this point. But even though he didn't win like we thought he was going to or thought he was supposed to, he still technically won because of where he's at now. So he made it all the way up into this point. Even though he had everything in front of him to stop him, he never got stopped. And I think that's what kind of made Rocky such a great movie, and why people love it so much is because it really is just a tale of triumph. Even though like through this whole thing, he's battling. Like I said, who he is. He eventually gets to the point to where he finally arrives. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I think that's what got people, especially at that time, like that was everything for people. Because I feel like if he would have won, like you said, it was all the Cinderella story. Of course he was going to win, but I feel like because he didn't win, it made it that much sweeter. So the next time that they fought, you know what I'm saying, you knew he was going to be a little bit better. You knew that next time that he had the opportunity, he had the chance to, you know what I'm saying? Like now this is his opportunity to win. But I also think it was great because look at that and look how it set everything up later on down the line.
yeah. And the one, well, 2 points before we, you know what I'm saying, move, because I think we do. There's some other shit that we need to get into, but like
Yeah.
the for the second one to end the way that it did, to the
Mhm.
fact that they both get knocked out.
Yeah.
And then Rocky just happened to get up before the 10 count. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't a clear cut win. It
Right.
was just like both of them on the ground, and he just happened to get up before Apollo did. So it was
Mhm.
just like it was a slight win. But I think I know you know about this movie, and I think that they got this from the Rocky shit. The Great White Hope.
Yeah.
That was the same fucking shit. You got the black character, which is Damon Wayans. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck this, I ain't training. Like, why they hyping up this white dude, putting him on the pedestal?
That's
We
the one
see
with
that.
Woody Harrelson, right?
No, it wasn't Woody Harrelson. It was not Ethan Hawke. Oh man, what's the dude name? Peter Bird. It was Peter
Okay.
Bird.
Okay.
So Peter Bird, he's training. He's the lovable story.
Mhm.
They go into. I mean, my man Damon Wayans come out with Method Man and shit. He
Yeah.
would give it. He got the beer belly. Nobody liked my dude, and like everybody cheering for the white guy. And
Mm-hmm.
then he hit him in the face one good time. He's like, "What the fuck, man?" He beat his ass.
Yeah.
Hey, but it was so fucking funny. Hey, that's his all-time movie, man, that nobody talk about.
Yeah.
Fucking Great White Hope. That shit was hilarious because we all rooted for the white guy
Mm-hmm.
just because we seen him training.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans, he's sitting on his ass eating fucking Cheetos and shit. Like, I ain't training for this fight. And
And
you know, you want the person that put the work in to win, and then
yeah.
it's like you just
Motherfucker
ain't
get
good
after it.
enough, my guy.
Yeah. Motherfucker is
Like,
all
period.
nothing.
Yeah. So, but no, I think um Arnold Schwarzenegger brought up a huge point. How many people we know not only did but written and starred in three fucking franchises, my guy.
Okay, that's where I was confused. So he got Rocky, Rambo, and what's the third one?
Expendables.
All right, man. Okay.
They about to do the fourth one, dude.
I feel you, but okay, bro.
So you don't count Expendables. Expendables don't count,
Hey, bro.
dude. They about to do the
Expendables is up there with Fast and Furious to me, bro.
dude. They about to do the fourth one, yo. 50 Cent is in this one.
I don't care if there's on. Man, ain't all right, bro. Never mind, cause I do enough hating on this motherfucker. But come on, fam. The way he talked about it though, cause when he said that shit at the beginning, I'm sitting in my head. I am baffled. Okay, I'm talking about. I am going through IMDb. I'm googling all kind of shit. I'm like, what is this third franchise that this nigga's speaking of? Because in my head, right, I'm thinking of Rambo, Rocky. I'm thinking of the classics. I'm like, man, yeah, damn, I forgot about Rambo. And what is this third one? The Expendables, my nigga.
Yes, the Expendables, man.
Bro, the
Well,
Expendables
he got all the action stars all in one film, and I still to this day, yo, I do
no,
not know
no,
why.
no, 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 no. We we gotta go
What,
to the
man?
cast of Expendables first and foremost.
Hold on, which one? The first one?
I don't know, but one of them had Terry Crews in there. What
That's
action star?
that the first one. He shouldn't have been in there. He shouldn't have
So
been in there, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The Terry Crews thing threw me off. I'm like, why is Terry Crews in this movie? He's not an action star. Nothing about this
He's
nigga.
never been an action
He's a
star.
comedian. He's always done comedic shit. You know what I'm saying? So for him to have done the fucking Expendables was wild to me. That just turned me off to it. And on top of that, it was what was it? Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone old ass. Then they had Bruce Willis in there.
Yeah, Bruce
Um,
Willis, Jet Li,
Jet
Dolph
Li.
Lundgren,
Yeah, Dolph
um,
Lundgren. Shout out to
Eric
him.
Rock, um, Steve Austin was in it.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's not Stone Cold didn't really do. He wasn't an action star. He did action movies, but he wasn't
Mickey
an action
Rourke was
star.
in it.
Who?
Mickey Rourke,
Yeah,
he
Mickey
was
Rourke.
in it.
He did some action movies. I wouldn't count Mickey Rourke as an action star either, but I mean, some people would, I guess.
Uh,
Wasn't
uh,
Jason Statham was in it?
Jason Statham. Yep. He was in
Um,
it. See,
Chuck
that's why
Norris
the
was in
second.
one. Chuck Norris was in one, but he didn't do shit.
Yeah, he didn't do shit. And
And
like
that's
Arnold,
why people
Arnold,
picked him.
Arnold, he ended up coming, and then like in the second one, and Wesley Snipes came in the second one.
Wesley Snipes would make sense. Chuck Norris, Jet Li should not be in it
Ooh,
because
you
they
don't
was
think
they
Jet
was
Li should be
kung
in
fu
it?
movie stars. They was kung fu movie stars. They wasn't action movie stars. It's a
Okay,
difference.
okay. And I forgot Liam Hemsworth was in the second one. John Claude Van Damme
He
came in
should
the
be in it.
second one.
John Clyde. Yeah. John Clyde definitely should be in it. You want to know who wasn't in it?
Ooh.
That fake ass Patrick Swayze. What's his name with the ponytail? I hate this nigga, man.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, Steven Seagal,
Yo, boy,
man.
you hate Steven Seagal,
I
man. That's
hate
so
Steven
funny.
Seagal, bro. His ass wasn't in it.
Yo, that is hilarious, boy. You be
Hey,
hating some
I
Steven
do like the
Seagal.
fact they made John Claude Van Damme a villain though.
Yeah, because
That was
he's always on the good side, man.
yeah, that was hard. I did like that though. But outside of that though, nah, man. I would let's say 2 franchises. Let's not say 3.
Man, you gotta stop, man. You gotta stop.
Ain't nobody
All
fuck
right.
with the Expendables like that, bro.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so the fourth one, like I said, 50 Cent is in this one. I don't know why they put Megan Fox in here. I guess that's just
Why is 50 Cent in the Expendables?
he looked like
He's
an
not
action
an
star.
action movie star, bro. That's what I'm
Dude,
saying.
why? Andy
They just throwing
Garcia's
niggas
in
on there.
here.
Who?
Andy Garcia.
Andy Gar.
Yeah, Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia was in like comedy movies, wasn't he?
Nah,
Wasn't
he's
he?
always like an FBI agent or some shit.
Okay, I'm thinking of Jerry Garcia. Never mind. He was.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the older guys are out of this. I mean, Jason Statham and Dolph Lundgren, like he's still in it, but like this is really like a newer crew. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
They got the dude. Did you ever see Mile 22?
no, I don't think so.
Uh, cause this new Chinese guy, he plays Snake Eyes.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, he's in this one. He's in this one too.
yeah,
In the fourth one that's about to come out.
yeah.
Look, man, I feel you, but at the same time, I mean, we just haven't seen this done in this way, where you
What?
are
With just
producing
an
it, you're
action movie
writing
story?
it, and you're starring in it too.
No,
To
yeah.
have three
No.
franchises,
Come
like
on, man.
I hear you, I know you being funny and all that type of stuff, but
God, I'm
but
being
still, like,
funny too.
yo, like that's crazy.
It is.
Like,
It really is. I mean, because didn't he do the jail movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
yeah, Escape Plan.
Escape Plan. Yeah, I thought those was good. Those was real good.
Yep,
I don't know
those
if
were
he won
good.
for those two, but those was real good. Um, I don't. I mean, yeah, that's unprecedented, man. I respect them for it. You know what I'm saying? Jokes aside, though, Expendables is what I'm saying, a good movie. I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen the third one, but the first two was good. Um, but this, I don't know, because it's like, to me, right? Because they talked about him doing the action thing, and they were saying like at one point in time we just looked at him as like this walking, talking action figure, right?
Uh-huh.
And to me, I felt like he shouldn't have been like out of place in that, right? With the success of Rambo, I thought that he was going to be a action star. Like, for him to be an action star made sense to me. He did Rocky. Yeah, he did a lot of acting in Rocky. That's cool. Rambo. Rambo, he ain't really do too much acting. He was just killing niggas left and right, which to me made Rambo great because it's like that's the whole purpose of the movie, right?
Mhm.
I think that because of his look, because of his voice, you weren't going to get him in too many you weren't going to get him in too many movies to where he was really just going to be, the lead man anyway. Um Even in like the Copland movie, when they're talking about that, and they talked about the scene with him and Robert De Niro, and he had the moment where he talking to De Niro or whatever, and then De Niro give him something back, and he like, this is it, yeah, this is the one. I mean, truth be told, man, I really have a hard time even like seeing it through his eyes, because growing up and being a consumer of his movies, to me, my favorite movies are the action movies. I appreciate the little, like, I know the time they were talking about where he was kind of out of place doing like the comedies and stuff like that. But even those, I really wasn't too mad at, because like for me at least, I like to see actors out of those elements, right? I think
Hmm.
sometimes the funniest actors are the actors who, especially in comedies, are the actors who don't usually do comedies. Like if you go watch Wedding Crashers, right?
Hmm.
And you watch Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken to me is the funniest person in that movie, because he's so out of place with everything he's doing. He's being Christopher Walken, and he's playing the role he's supposed to play, but it's so funny because he's out of place in the movie. You don't normally see him in comedy movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't normally see him do this thing. He's more of a drama guy, or you know what I'm saying, or like something around that area. But to see him in a comedy, I thought this is refreshing. This is something good, because you don't get to see it. I felt the same way about seeing Sylvester Stallone in some of the comedy movies that he was in. So for instance, like when I know he did like one of the Spy Kids movies where he was the villain. I thought he did great in that, because you don't see him in that type of, what I'm saying, like movie. So to see him in something like that, to me, is refreshing, because it's like after a while, yeah, you can't get bogged down being in all of these action movies and keep, this is all you're doing is action, action, action. I mean, look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Every goddamn thing he was doing for a minute was action. And I
Yeah.
think he tried his hand at something else. Like he tried to do the True Lies thing to me, which is really kind of his one of his best movies for sure. And he tried to do his acting in that, but it was like, nigga, get a gun and shoot something. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck all of that. Get a gun and shoot something. And I felt like for a minute that's how we looked at Sylvester Stallone. Like, yo, get a gun and shoot something, make something blow up. Like, nigga, this is what you is. But I mean, if without that though, do we still revere Sylvester Stallone the same way that we do now? If he doesn't have that, you know what I'm saying, that space of action movies. Because what else was he gonna do in that time? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that. I do, but like I do like how, but I think that sometimes when you're criticized for things and you are doing a documentary, it's only great to acknowledge it,
Hmm.
and for him to go into that part of the documentary and be like, "Yo, like I tried to do something different
Hmm.
and it didn't work." What I didn't like about it was how they threw Demolition Man in there. I was like, "Yo, I fuck with Demolition Man," and a
Well,
lot of people that I
everybody did.
know, you know what I'm saying, like Demolition Man.
I think at
So
the time it wasn't as well received as it is now, though.
yeah, it might have been one of those ones where you look back at it and be like, that shit ended up being better than we thought. Now,
Absolutely.
granted, the person who stood out obviously was, you know what I'm saying, Simon Phoenix. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It really was a situation where it was like, I mean, honestly, the people who made the movie was Wesley Snipes and fucking Sandra Bullock just being just
Hmm.
fucking naive to every goddamn thing that just made the shit funny because it's like,
Yeah.
yo, like how can you be this naive? Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what ended up making it better. But when I look back at Demolition Man, it's yo, Demolition Man is fucking dope, man.
It's
Like
a great movie.
And but they end up putting it in that part where it was just, I think that Sylvester was like, yo, this is out of my element of what I normally do,
Mhm.
and maybe it didn't do as well as I thought that those movies were gonna do. So I think it was just one of those situations where he tried to do something different and the shit didn't work. And then he went into Copland, like you brought up Copland. That was one of those movies where he wanted to be perceived as a quote unquote good actor,
Mhm.
but it didn't hit in the box office sense. Now, depending on who the people are, there are people who really revere the movie Copland.
Yeah.
Where they're like, yo, Copland is like, you know what I'm saying? One of his like I think
Tarantino said it.
yeah,
Tarantino
Tarantino was
said that's
saying,
one of his favorite
he was
movies.
like that's the like some of Sylvester Stallone like best work was in Copland.
Yeah.
So, but I just think that Copland just wasn't revered. I think the reason why, because the people who were in it,
Mhm.
you would have thought that it would have been better.
See, I think it's more so of a thing that with a movie like that, at least, is it more important to have the acceptance of the consumer, or is it more important to have the acceptance of your peers?
Yeah.
And I feel like the people that talked about Copland, they gave it, they raved about it. Tarantino talked about it.
Yes.
He talked about how amazing that movie was. And I feel like amongst your peers sometimes that's really where you want to look to see whether or not something is good or not. Because usually the masses they usually go with whatever they're told to go with, right?
Yeah.
For instance, you had all of these people ranting and raving about this Barbie movie. Meanwhile, you had a movie that Christopher Nolan put out in Oppenheimer that didn't get as much attention. And the only attention it really got was because it came out the same day that Barbie came out. Now, is Barbie a better movie than Oppenheimer? I highly doubt it.
Hmm.
I'm willing to go as far as to say no. But I'm sure Barbie did better than Oppenheimer in the box office. Even though they put up hella numbers, both of them respectively, I still feel like Barbie did better because people are more more likely to go with the thing that they're told to go with. Now, if I'm sure if you go throughout Hollywood and you ask the people who've seen them both and say, which one would you have preferred to go see, Barbie or Oppenheimer? I'm sure they 9 times out of 10 gonna tell you I would have rather watched Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's just a thing that because like I said, people are kind of told what to do and the masses usually follow the trail that Copland might have been possibly his best movie, hands down. Might have been better than Rocky and Rambo and everything else he's ever done, but it wouldn't matter because, you know, at least the way he was putting it, it didn't matter because it didn't get the success at box office. Even
Yeah.
though, your peers are telling you, hey, this shit is amazing.
I'm with you. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I
And,
don't know. I feel like a lot of times, especially when you're in that creative space, though, you do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't really because it could be people that do the exact same thing you do, and they could tell you how amazing it was and how great it was and how awesome it is. But if the people don't fuck with it, then we'll feel like it was a failure. And I think a lot of times we got to get out of that, and we can't do that to ourselves because we end up cheating ourselves out of continuing something that's great. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
So
I I
I
think
think
so
that he
too.
could have I think he could have continued to go down that lane and found ways to eventually because not for nothing, like after watching this, like this motherfucker is a cinema genius. He is a
Yeah.
cinematic genius. I'm talking about to be able to act, because when they was talking about the movie that he did with Henry Winkler, and he was like, "Yo, just can you let me improv?" And then after a while, like he improv, but then he started writing the movie. For him to be acting with one role, reading the lines, to ask the improv after improving, eventually start rewriting shit. That's a different skill. Like that's like that's really some unheard of shit. I don't think it's too many people that have done that. I've never heard a story like that. For him to have that vision of, oh, this character would be better if I did this, or this character would be better if it was written this way, and so on and so forth. And then to eventually have this role that people fucked with you on and gave you a chance off of, that's different.
Very different. And for them to even give him the freedom, but I also think that gives those people, we got to give them people credit too, to be like, all
Yeah,
right, maybe I didn't do, maybe to even accept that maybe I didn't do this as well as I could have,
right.
and to let someone, you know what I'm saying, rewrite some shit that you put together
Yeah,
and actually say, you know what you said and what you're doing is better than what I had. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
I think that you got to give them a little credit too, and I think that even though Sylvester's role was unconventional and definitely wasn't easy, like he even talked about how when he left New York, he was like, "Yo, like I bought a car and I drove, you know what I'm saying, 3,000 miles, and
wait,
only person I knew
wait.
was Henry."
That nigga said I bought a car for $40 though.
Yo, that's crazy.
Nigga, I
Yo,
wish.
let me tell you something. But I know I follow this one thing that says like officially the '80s or officially the '90s, like little shit like
Yeah.
that. And dude, they showed this ad in the paper, my guy, where it was a house. The fucking house was in the paper, and the house was some shit like it was something crazy like $12,000, and like the mortgage was like
50 bucks.
yeah, it was so crazy. I'm like, yo,
That's a fucking steal,
I'm like,
nigga.
yo, what is going on with the world, yo? Like,
Nigga, you can't get
yo,
an apartment for $12,000 nowadays.
man, I'm telling you, man, it was so crazy. But yeah, bought a car for $40. He said he drove all the way to California, and that shit broke down on
And it
on
just so
Rodeo
happened to
Boulevard.
break down in the area Henry Winkler was at. That's
Well, he
that's
was at, and no,
that's
and then did you hear where he got his first? He said his first broke down house. Do you remember what the street was called?
Balboa.
Balboa Avenue.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope,
Yep.
man. I mean, all in all, I think what this documentary really showed was just the fact that, you know, this was just a testament to how resilient Sylvester Stallone is.
Hmm.
Even through birth, even through childhood, whatever, like whatever obstacle was in his way, he never gave up. He never stopped and complained, or, what I'm saying, put the blame on anybody else. And not only that, he always showed love. Even though he didn't know how to properly do it, even though it wasn't properly given to him, he found a way, what I'm saying, to show love. He found a way to, um, what I'm saying, give other people opportunities, and put other people in positions that they probably would have never had a chance of being in. I mean, not for nothing, wasn't nobody thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger before he came back out with the Expendables or whatever that shit called. Nobody was looking for this nigga. As soon as they did that, next thing you know, this nigga back in action movies. You know what I'm saying? This nigga gave Mr. T a chance to be in the movie, you know what I'm saying, and box and shit. This nigga put Hulk Hogan in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Dolph Lundgren, who whose career was probably on his way out and gave that nigga another opportunity. This nigga was He-Man. This nigga was
Yep.
everybody's favorite childhood hero. And you ain't hear nothing else about Dolph Lundgren until, you know what I'm saying, this nigga was the Russian. You know what I mean? This nigga Ivan Drago steps on the scene with the flat top and beating the shit out of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like you can see that he really doesn't get enough credit for the things that he's done in Hollywood and like the opportunities he's given people. And I think it was good to see, how not only, you know what I'm saying, he did that, but not for nothing though. The dude, he's an intelligent motherfucker.
Hell yeah. Any gave Michael B. Jordan a fucking franchise.
Yeah. I mean, but just listening to him, that's a big one. And not just any franchise. Nigga, he gave him the classic franchise. Like,
Yep.
now that's something I ain't never seen nobody do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never seen nobody turn over some shit like that. That is very dope. But just listening to him talk, man, I was really thoroughly impressed. Like, yo, like this is a very, very well read, intelligent dude. Like, even because for like all our lives, like he always seemed like even when people make jokes about this nigga, they make him like the big dopey motherfucker.
Yeah,
But
like he's dumb.
yeah, but like going like when they were showing old interviews or like when he would be talking to people with through the tapes and shit, I'm like, yo, this motherfucker really is. He's that nigga. I was man. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Never judge a book by its cover, man.
Yes. Yes.
That's
One
what's
hundred
up.
percent.
That's what's up. All right, man. So are we doing Fire Flames?
Yeah, we can do fire. We can do flames. We can do the
All right,
flames.
let's get into it, man.
All right.
Yoga, fire, yoga, flame.
All right. So what are you giving this?
Um, I mean, look, the information, um, is a five, but as far as how it was put together and all that type stuff, the watch value, will I go back and see it again? All that type stuff. Um, I would have to push it down to a four,
Mm,
but I think that the information that was given, not knowing that stuff about his father, not knowing the stuff about, what I'm saying, that he was split up from his brother, and what I'm saying, all of the polo shit, and like I said, the information that you're gonna get from this, and the improv, and the all that type stuff, that stuff is a five. I'm just saying the watch value for it, for me, I would have to say is about a four, is what I would
okay.
give
So I'm gonna go a half a notch above you. I'm gonna go 4.5. Only reason I'm going 4.5 because I really wanted to give this a five. Like I said, this was very eye opening. But they, to me, like I said, they didn't dive enough into his mother and father. And I know this was about him and you know what I'm saying, his career and all that stuff. But I think that it's something that should have had been said about how because of the way his father treated him, because of the split between him and his mom, I mean his father and his mom and the things that they had went through as kids and all of that pretty much culminated into him having to leave all of these schools and eventually end up at this one school that really got him into acting. I don't think it was enough, you know what I'm saying, like enough time spent on that because that's to me, I feel like that's a documentary in itself. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go 4.5.
you. Okay,
All right, man. Let's jump into the coming soon.
let's do it.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
All right, man. This next episode we got coming to you guys is a hunting in Venice. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to rewatch this one again because the first time I watched it, I it was kind of hard to understand what the fuck was going on. Did you? I know you said you seen this one. Did you kind of were you able to follow this?
To a certain extent. Um, I, I mean, I don't want to give my opinions away.
Yeah.
When it comes about it, but I was able to follow it. The first time I didn't finish it. I pulled one of your moves. I fell asleep on it.
I
Um,
respect.
but I went back and I watched it for a second time, and I mean, I didn't fall asleep on it, but see, we
Yeah.
will when we get there.
Man. So this is going to be an interesting show next episode. Make sure y'all tune in. Y'all make sure y'all watch. Cause yeah, uh, it ain't no telling what's bound to happen. But if you like this episode, if you didn't like this episode, if you too found out new information about Sylvester Stallone, or if you just feel like me, Expendables is not, you know what I'm saying, a franchise that this nigga should be claiming, hit us up on socials, man. X and Instagram at View9Pod. You can hit us up on Facebook, VA Pod Watch Group. You can follow us on the X community, Viewers Anonymous. And for those who are new to the show, we do have paid episodes that you can subscribe to. The link is going to be in this episode description, or any other episode description that you listen to or watch. You can join that. You can get uh all of our other episodes that we don't have available. And not only that, all of our behind the scenes episodes are now going to currently be on the paid platform. So make sure you do that. You don't want to miss out on those behind the scenes episodes. They're really, really good. So the ones that you have out there now, you can enjoy them. But in future purposes, they'll be under our subscription. It's only $2.99 a month. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to follow me, you can do so at X at Scoots Bronson. I got a link to in my bio, and you can find me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and X at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast 28 minutes or less. New episode is out. It is episode 140. Nose out playoffs. Um, I went into a deep dive, and I may have an unpopular opinion of the four that I put together. How I think it
Shit,
should have went down.
it might not be
Uh,
unpopular.
but yeah, so I got that out in the world, man, and just be on the lookout for the episodes on all major platforms.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Like we said, in the future, man, we got some things coming up for you next year. Next year is going to be a marvelous, marvelous years for Viewers Anonymous. Um, and if you are a listener, a watcher, a fan, a subscriber, you are too going to be along on on the ride. So get ready for it, man, because we coming in hot and heavy. Um, but thank you all once again, man. Your support is greatly appreciated. Without you, there could be no us. So until the next episode, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.